We're good.
Shows us live already. Okay. Alrighty, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. It is 6:07 today, the third day of February of 2021. I call this meeting to order. If we can have roll call and determine the quorum, please.
Councillor Manuel J. Martinez,
Present.
Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez,
Good evening. Honored to be with you all.
Councillor John Ricci,
Present.
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres.
Present. Looks like we've got ourselves a quorum. Councilors, before you is the agenda. Just a few little side notes. Mr. Nathan Ortiz is not going to be presenting this evening, so he did ask that we move this item off the agenda to our next meeting. And other than that, I believe that is it. Councilors, at your leisure.
A motion to approve as presented by the chair, removing item G2 until the next meeting. Is that correct?
Second.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
Alrighty, looks like we have a motion from Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez and a second from Councilor Ritchie. If we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councillor Manuel J. Martinez,
Yes, for the motion.
Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Councillor John Ricci,
In favor.
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor. All right, it looks like we've got ourselves an agenda. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Has anybody signed up for public comment? That we're aware of? No, and I do not see anybody on here that looks from the public. If I'm wrong, please correct me. All righty, we will move on. Councilors, before you, we have the next item on our agenda, which is the approval of the Public Safety Committee meeting minutes for the 6th day of January of 2021. Councilors?
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
with something to just be touch base on. We didn't go through the whole agenda last time because, correct me if I'm wrong, Chair, you had to leave due to a death close to your family. So that doesn't show anywhere in the minutes that I can see. Like, I thought it would be under like matters from the chair and then,
Sure.
but there's really nothing there. So if, as long as we could state that somewhere, maybe at the beginning that we decided as a group that we wouldn't listen to the reports until, and we could get a hold of them via email or telephone if we had any questions. I don't see that anywhere. So just put that in somewhere and I'm okay with that if the maker of the motion is in agreement.
Councilor Manny Martinez?
I'm fine with that, sir.
Thank you. And we are skimming through the notes right now, but yeah, we don't see anything. So we'll make sure we correct that. Thank you, Councilor Peggy Sue. Appreciate that.
Yes. Okay, no problem. Other than that, they look really good. Thank you, Victoria.
All righty, we have a motion from Councilor Manny Martinez and a second from Councilor Peggy Sue. If we may get a roll call vote, please.
Councillor Manny Martinez,
For the motion.
Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez,
Also for the motion.
Councillor John Ricci,
For the motion.
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor, thank you. All righty. Next item on our agenda is committee member comments. And as always, ladies first, Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez, any comments?
I don't. I just want to say thank you to everybody involved in public safety. I know that during COVID, it's been more difficult to do your jobs, and we certainly appreciate our local frontline workers. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that we should do some kind of recognition for the frontline workers that we have, those that are at the stroke center, that are working every day. Whoever we have that is just putting it out there and making things continue to go, I really believe that it's important to recognize their efforts. The other thing of concern is we all got communication from the mayor concerning the vaccine being available to those 75 and older in the surrounding communities. here at the hospital. And we certainly appreciate their collaboration to get as many people in our community vaccinated because of the high numbers in that 87532 zip code. And then the other thing I'll mention is that, kudos to Joe Salazar for his efforts in really bringing attention at the state level to that situation and putting some pressure on people to make sure that we get the vaccine here according to how the virus was spreading so fast in that one zip code. So we certainly appreciate people that have passion for Española, and we welcome their efforts to help. I really believe that 9 governing body members cannot do it alone, even inclusive of the staff. I think it's really important for the community to step up, and he stepped up in a big way. So we certainly have to recognize that and appreciate it. And that's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Counselor Peggy Sue. Counselor Ritchie?
Just to echo the kudos to the frontline, Councilor Martinez's comments. When this is all said and done, I do think we need to recognize our frontline. Those are the ones that have been getting infected, and they've been putting it out there for us. So same thing. Kudos to them. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, Counselor Ritchie. Counselor Manny Martinez?
Thank you, Chair. Again, I just want to echo what my fellow councilors have said, thanking the everyone on public safety, from police officers and of course the firemen as well, and women. Thank you guys for all that you're doing, keeping us safe out there. And I do have a question for both chiefs. They can answer it during their department reports, but my question is, it was brought up on our last city council meeting about some people squatting, basically placing tents in different in properties. And my question was, when they go out there to, whether it's to chase them away, arrest them, whatever it might be, is by any chance the people from Pathway Shelters being notified to see if these are people that they would be able to help, instead of incarcerating them, arresting them, or anything like that, if they are getting that option to go to Pathway Shelter, or how is that working as far as utilizing those services? But that, I know it's a question they can answer during their department report, sir. Other than that, I just want to thank them for all that they're doing.
Thank you, Counselor. Appreciate that. We will move on to matters from the chair. Counselors, and if you can, you're welcome to give me any feedback regarding this. I'd like to start a new initiative from each committee member of their respective districts here within this committee for public safety, to bring at least one public safety concern that they have within their district, whether it be with fire, whether it be with planning and land use. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that, but I'd like for every meeting for us to have at least one concern that they've got. For example, I'll use Valley Estates as the example. So we've been going through that within our city council meetings, within committees, et cetera. And then I'll bring one concern to the table that I have is off of Fairview and off of McCurdy. There's a road that is, and right off the bat, it skipped my mind, but there's some individuals that are walking back and forth intending to drive through this and created their own road. So I will get those names to you all here tomorrow, so we can see how we can tackle that issue. Counselors, do you have any concerns or questions regarding the new initiative that we'd like to start here in public safety?
I would, sir.
Counselor Manny Martinez?
Thank you, Chair. A concern was brought up to me as far as I don't believe it's my district, but it's a concern right there, past the Las Lomas apartments, heading towards that little Santo Niño chapel that's in that area. Apparently, well, I guess the buses weren't running for a period of time. Everything was nice and quiet in that little part of the neighborhood. Once the buses started to run again, I guess there's a lot of transits that are both littering in that area or trying to set up tents also in that area behind the Santo Niño chapel and in the neighbors' just west of that area. So I was wondering what we might be able to do to tackle that. I don't know if it's by just having these residents call 911, or if it's patrolling more in that area, or what we might be able to do to curb that, both in littering and also then setting up tents in those areas. My other question would be for, in case it is a lot of trash along the highway, I don't know if we would be able to utilize any type of people that might be requiring community service from our judicial area to be able to clean that up in those areas, sir.
Thank you, Councilor Manny Martinez. And a lot of these concerns that are brought up during this time, the department heads are more than welcome to address these issues when it becomes your turn for our department reports, if that would be all right. I also have another concern, and this would be probably for planning and land use, Mr. Richard, along North McCurdy, where we did clean up those two homes that were there. Right now, there's somebody threw an empty couch. There's a lot of stuffing and everything going on down there, but just a little bit of food for thought. And I'll yield the floor to Councilor Richie and Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez if you all have any concerns that you can think of right now. I know I just kind of threw this at you all, but I'd like to bring more awareness to the issues that are going on within our districts. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you, Chairman. I really have a lot of concern with that North McCurdy area and the amount of trash. You know, in that area, when you come off of, I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm not going to hit it. When you come off of the road that comes from Big 5 and you connect to McCurdy on that backside, when you make the left there, there's the real beautiful Alamos where there's like a parking area next to the ditch. It's a real nice area, but gosh, man, that place has been ridiculously littered with tires, and it's just horrible. And I really feel like, God, man, these are the things that identify us, and we have to do what we can to keep Española as clean as we can. So I really feel like maybe somebody from the city going out like every Monday or every Friday and just taking a ride and seeing what's obvious, you know what I mean? And maybe picking some stuff up like that, because that area is always encumbered with stuff. And Chairman Torres Salazar, I'm glad the couch was empty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad that couch was empty, because we have a few of them throughout the city of Española where people are just hanging out on them. So I'm glad the one you saw was empty, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And I believe the street is Mountain View Street. And I do want to give kudos to, I believe it was Streets. They were cutting a lot of those limbs and so forth just yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, but they're trying to clean that whole area up. I know that we were in talks with OK Owinga to get that area kind of cleaned up, because I do know that they own, I believe, that side of the street where all that shrubs and everything is at. But we will work on that. Councilor Richie, any concerns, questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Peggy Sue?
No, go ahead. I'll yield to Councilor Richie, and then if you have time, you can come back to me, but if not, it's okay.
Sure. Councilor Richie?
I appreciate the opportunities and for us to present issues. At this time, I don't have any, there's a lot of issues, but none that I could bring up at this particular time. But thank you for the future meetings of giving us that opportunity. I'll yield back.
Thank you, Councilor Richie. Councilor Peggy Sue?
Thank you. Just one other thought that I have is I'm also concerned about the speed of drivers on North Coronado and on Paseo de Oñate in front of City Hall, especially at the Vietnam Memorial Light and Paseo de Oñate. I mean, we have truckers that are coming down 60, 65 miles an hour and with no intent on stopping if the light is yellow or otherwise. So we just really need to take a look at that and try and be a little bit more active, maybe pull somebody over now and then on that road, and possibly people will slow down. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Peggy Sue. And if I believe we have Deputy Chief with us, Jack Jones, that'll present later on for the police department. If he'll address those concerns with the department, that would be great. We will move on from matters from the chair to letter G of our agenda, which are the action, discussion, and recommendation items to full council. We have item number 3, which is discussion of the speed trailer and quote. And I will yield the floor to Mr. Jones, Deputy Chief. Deputy Chief, are you with us, sir? You're still on mute. All righty. Mr. Deputy Chief, we'll give you a few more minutes. I'm trying to unmute him. Let's see. Or, oh.
Justin,
All right.
my name is
Yes, sir.
Joe Bartels. I'm the rep for the Stalker radar that the product here.
Okay.
And if you guys have any questions, happy to answer them. I can give you a little overview of capabilities of this trailer if you would like.
Sure. Go ahead. We'll yield the floor to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So what we found with these trailers is they do a wonderful job of calming speed. Oftentimes people are rolling along, maybe not paying attention to the speed, obviously not paying attention to the speed. These signs, they will give you a speed. They also have the ability to have the red and blue flash lights that can be put. You can dial them in for any speed that you want. So we've seen a significant decrease in speeds when these trailers are deployed. Another thing that they will help do is they will also pool data. There's a software that comes with it, so you can see exactly how much traffic is going on the street where it's deployed, how fast they're going, the time of day that they're going, excess speeds or not. This also really helps with grant writing. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can pull in one of these trailers. You can use this data. It'll help with the reporting. It'll bring more money into the traffic division. And a third thing is, I'm sure you guys get a fair amount of residents that will say, hey, we've got speeding in this neighborhood. It happens all the time. This is something that can be deployed there. Not only will it calm that traffic, but you'll get a real read on, what's happening in the neighborhood. So those are just kind of 3 of the points.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Ritchie.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name.
My name is Joe Bartels.
Joe.
Yes.
Joe, regarding the placement, are you aware of our limitations since we've got state highways through us? Can we utilize them on state highway within our
No.
city limit or no?
No, you cannot. No.
No,
What if we're having an issue in a particular section? How much trouble can we get in?
You're going to have to talk to the chief on that one. I am not qualified to answer that question.
I'm just curious because all we're doing is it's just being a signal out there. We're not issuing citations.
That's correct.
And all we are is gathering information because that's the key thing about this is that it will collect data for us. So yeah, that's a conversation we'll have with our chief.
And it may be, it's just the trailer that is illegal. We do have some other products that do not show speed. It's just a plain white box that will also pull data that I believe is okay to have out on that highway in town. But I am not 100% on that. I'll have to check the laws, or you can talk to the chief.
The other question on the quote that we have here, is that complete? There's no other items we need
That is complete and delivered.
and delivered.
Yes. I will deliver it personally, and then I run through, a whole checklist of things. So, so that you're using the trailer to its maximum capacity.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I will yield the floor now to Deputy Chief Jack Jones. I believe he's on now. Deputy Chief. All righty. Counselor Manny Martinez, any questions?
No questions at this time, sir.
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez, any questions regarding this speed trailer?
Thank you, Chairman. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Bartels, for your presentation and for the paperwork provided to us in our packet. Job well done in putting this together. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing that I have a question about deals with the width of the trailer. What is the width of that trailer?
It might be on that paperwork. I want to say they're probably, what does it say right there? There we go.
36?
68 inches. 68 inches.
Okay, so it is a little wide for parking it on the side. The thing that I'm interested in knowing is when you're talking about the capabilities of providing stats down the road, are you talking about like how many vehicles pass that area during a certain amount of time? Are you talking about how many vehicles are speeding that pass that area during a specific amount of time? Like what kind of data is this thing collecting?
All of the above. It
All of the above.
collects, every single car, the direction that they're going, and the speed that they're going.
Whether or
No,
not they're coming at it or coming
Yep.
away from it. Okay.
Yep. And whether whether they're excessive speed or not. Now, it does not track license plates. You can't say, the blue Ford Explorer was going by at 10 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah, it'll give you all that information.
Okay, so that's very interesting. I really like that about that because I really feel like you said, that's data that you can turn around and use it to gain some funding for the department. So for the
Absolutely.
community, actually.
Mhm.
So that's interesting. How long would it take you to deliver this system? How long would it take for us to get it in place?
Yeah, I actually just ordered 6 trailers. They'll be in my staging facility in Colorado, and they'll be hitting any day now. So as soon as they hit, I could turn around and get it down there. I'll be coming through that way in 2 weeks. If there's approval, you could have it in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I really feel like this, like you said from the very beginning, it's not the solve all to the problem. For sure, at some level, people realize that it's just recording their speed and letting them know. At some level, people will know that, and it's not a solve all. But I think most people do want to follow the rule. I just think sometimes they get overwhelmed with other things and they're not really paying attention to their speed. And I think that's where this comes into play.
Absolutely.
So I really think that this is, it's a tool. I don't think this is the solve all. Like I said, I still feel like we have a lot to do to control speed in our community, but I do think that this is a good tool. So I appreciate, like I said, Mr. Bartel, your information and your presentation.
Well, thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Peggy. Thank you, Councilor Peggy Sue. I really wish, Deputy Chief, are you with us?
Motion to approve, to send to full council, Chairman.
So as of right now, Councilor Peggy Sue, this is just a discussion item.
Oh, okay. Well, remove that. Okay. Then, okay, so could we put this on our next agenda? Is that
So-
okay with everybody else? How do my fellow councilors feel about that?
I'm actually okay, and we can guide it as such as instead of bringing it to our next public safety meeting as an action item, if we can move it forward just to bypass us and go straight to full council as an action item, that is all right with me, counselors. Again, it's up to you.
I don't really like to do things like that myself, but I would even rather have a special meeting with the committee, even if it's just to vote on this one item, advertise it properly, have the meeting, have the discussion, and send it forward with the right protocol. I'd rather do that myself if everybody else is okay with that too. It won't take us but 15 minutes if we advertise it properly and do it according to the law.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Peggy Sue. Counselor Ritchie?
Can the city manager bring it to the council? Knowing our wishes?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Public Safety Committee. So it is a discussion item. I'll have to check back with our city clerk and our attorney to make sure if this is something that we can do. Although that all items through committees, they cannot be voted as an action item. That's only full council that can do that. So there's we have I guess a protocol, I guess, if you will, that all these items that we choose to have them vetted through our committees to get a lot of the legwork, if you will, done through it that way. So when it comes to full council, everything's in place. You have each council from each district already familiar with it because they've sat in that committee to move it forward. But I can follow up with our city attorney tomorrow to follow up on this question to see on how, if so, based on how it's presented at the committee, it can be moved to a full council as a full action item. I believe that you can, based on what the discussions going on here. I think that's a courtesy, and like I say, I reiterate again, is the committee's main job is to do all the legwork on getting everything, all the documentation, all the information together and present it to the committee, and then they unanimously or majority rule it to go to full council. But I think I'm going to go ahead and say that yes, it can possibly go to full council just as a discussion item here, and then recommendation by the chair and say, yeah, I'd like to see this as an action item to proceed forward. But I will go ahead and get our city attorney to get solid information on this, and I'll get it to everybody by tomorrow. Will that work for everybody?
Honorable City Manager, if I may just chime in, what we will do, I was just made aware. Let's put this item as a recommended item to full council for our next public safety meeting committee meeting, due to the fact that the finance portion itself will have better understanding given a month's time frame regarding this item. So councilors.
That's what I was just going to recommend, that finance should actually take this. So I would recommend it to go to finance and then get an approval from that committee and have them have it as an action item on their agenda.
So I'm being advised right now that, well, it's at your leisure, councilors. One of the main concerns that was just brought to my attention that right now we currently do not have the funding for it.
Oh, wow.
Do a little bit more digging to find the finances, so they would have more information within a month for our next committee meeting, if that's all right. And then from there, if they do find the funding, we're welcome to, Chief's welcome to speak to Councilor Benavides, the Chair of Finance, and go from there before we send it to any other committees. I'd like it just to stay here, but that's all right.
The only comment that I have is that anytime you're calling an attorney about a simple matter like this, it's going to turn into money, and that money can be utilized for other things in the community. So I really feel like it's very simple to solve. Just either send it to another committee or hold it back for a little bit until we figure it out. And maybe in figuring it out, it sets us up to
And that's why
be able to identify the funds. Right. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that if my fellow counselors agree.
Councilor Rich, I see your hand.
Yeah. Excuse me. I agree. We, since we don't have the the funding, we're gonna have to go through that process. And then from wherever it's gonna, if we're gonna send it to finance to get the approval, or then we'll move it. So we're just gonna have to wait. And yeah, I would ask city manager to hold off on communicating with the lawyer regarding moving it. We'll just, we can't do anything right now. We don't have the funding.
So that's why I recommend we just hold it back and it come
Yep.
back under our agenda as not a
Absolutely.
discussion item, but as a recommended item to full council.
I
for
agree.
Purchase.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
City manager, go ahead.
Yes, and so just as you are aware, I don't go to the city attorney just for one item. I compile a list. That way I knock out several birds with one stone, if you will. Tomorrow I'm going to meet with our city attorney, as we do every Thursday before a committee, to go over the agenda with the mayor for final approval and things like that. So it's not that I go to the attorney for just one item and rack up the dollars. I just want to clarify on that. And also, I'm looking at that. Is that the total cost of $7,000? Is that or is that like a monthly charge
Total cost.
of $7,500?
Yes.
Okay, and so, you know, and by our procurement policy, that also does not have to go through the finance committee. By the procurement policy, anything over $25,000 is required to go through the finance committee. So again, it's up to the committee's leisure as to what the process to move forward is. I can get information on however you want to proceed on this.
So councilors, and I believe Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez made a motion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the motion can be to keep this item in public safety, but bring it back next month as a recommendation item for purchase.
Chairman
Councilman.
Salazar Torres, this is Deputy Chief Jack Jones. I apologize for being late and coming on here. I was having trouble with my microphone, and I apologize. Is it okay if I speak now, sir?
Sure, absolutely.
One of the things that we'd like to do is we think that with this trailer, this speed trailer would be a great benefit to us. And we really appreciate Mr. Bartles coming on and talking to us about this and giving you guys the lowdown on how this trailer works. The problem we have with putting it on state roadways is we're not allowed to leave anything on the roadway, the side of the roadway, or any place near the roadway, because it's be an abandoned vehicle. And the state police would have to come in, either cite us or tow it away or something like that. That would be the problem we'd have with doing it on the state roadway. But I think that, you know, we could do things like this, like, you know, Councilwoman Peggy Sue Martinez is talking about Onate and the Vietnam Veterans Highway light right there. There it is, a problem for us right there. We do have, and we have called state police to help us right there with the trucks especially, so we can talk about how we would deal with that. And so as we look at the things that are going on, this would really help us get them notified of what's happening, because that is a dangerous intersection that we have here in Espanola. The other thing that we would do is that compile this and send it to the information that comes out of this and send it to Safer New Mexico. And it would give us the ability to start working roadways that have a lot of speeders on it and things that are an issue. So we could give it to them, and they would then give us the authority to go work specific roadways versus staying in the whole Espanola area. And that's what we'd like to try to do. So we are jazzed about this and think it would be something that we could work on. And talking to the chief, the PD can't afford this by ourselves, but we could possibly go in and half this with somebody else that we have with some money that we have in our funding.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Chief. We do appreciate that. We'll bring this back before us, our next Public Safety Committee meeting. And being that this is just a discussion item, I don't even think we need a motion or a vote on that. We'll just bring it back. If that's all right with you, councilors, unless you'd like to take a vote.
That's fine by me, Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Peggy Sue, any concerns regarding that? Councilor Ritchie, any questions regarding that?
I don't have any questions. I'm sorry.
No, no problem. Councilor Ritchie?
No, no, sir. I think since it was strictly discussion, we bring it back and we just gotta look for funding.
All right, we got some homework ahead of us. Thank you. We will move on to our department reports. We have with us, I believe, let me see, let me make my screen just a little bit bigger so I see who's online with us. Project Race is not on. Already, we have Project Race as first. However, they are not on the call, so we will go down to the police department report. Counselors, do you have any questions, concerns regarding the stats and so forth that was presented by the police department? And then if not, the floor is yours, Deputy Chief. Councilor Manny Martinez, any questions for the PD?
No, sir, just real happy. It looks, it's a very nice report, the way they put this together, sir. Just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Ritchie?
Just how's the department with COVID? How many officers do we have out, or do we have any?
Chairman Salazar Torres, Councilor Ritchie, we have nobody out with COVID at this time, but half of our department has had it and has come back. And we're very, very fortunate that they were able to all come back after their 14 days quarantine. So we're very fortunate that we've had some great assistance from the city, HR, and Sergeant Jeff Sargent has been a champion to take care of business and help us go through all this stuff.
Thank you.
Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez? Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Deputy Chief, any concerns, questions you'd like to bring before the committee regarding your department report?
No, sir. Chairman Salazar Torres, no, I don't have any. I do would like to answer Councilor Manny Martinez's question about what we do with vagrants that we find that are in the field, whether they're by the Los Lomas apartments or they're any other place. What happens is we find them, we go, we make contact with them. If there's somebody that complains about it, we make contact with them. We ask them if they've ever had a citation issued for trespassing. If they have, then what we try to do is we will try to work with them, maybe give them another citation, but we try to turn everybody over to the pathways and get them a ride to pathways, get somebody to come and take them to pathways. There's plenty of people around that are working with the homeless that'll do those things. A lot of times the homeless will just move on because they don't want to go to the pathway shelter themselves. They would just as soon try to find another place to stay. And while we've cleaned up several lots and they look great, we're still having people that are discarding trash in these areas, and homeless are still trying to live around the trees and put up their tents in these areas. And we keep moving them out, we keep moving them on. And what we got to do is just got to figure out a way to get them to pathway, make it happen, or we something else. I don't know what else that something else is, because they don't seem to want to go and be part of an organized group like Pathway or another shelter.
Councilor Manny Martinez?
Thank you, Deputy Chief. I have a follow-up question on that. When you do confront these individuals, is ID asked for, and how many do you have an idea of how many are actually from Espanola, from the area, and how many are from other areas of the state per se?
Well, a lot of them do not have New Mexico IDs, and the IDs that we look at a lot of times are from outside the Espanola area, Albuquerque. Some people are from Las Cruces. We've got some people in here from Cruces. A lot of them are from Colorado, but there's very few that we're running into in the homeless side that are actually from Espanola.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, counselors, anything else for the police department?
I have one question,
Sure,
Chairman.
Counsel.
So if we're referring to the E911 center dispatch en route, unseen and total, could you shed some light on how that is, how that demographic is working? Like you have A beta 0324 en route 453 and then unseen 1 hour 48 minutes and 50 seconds. Is that how that is? Is that the time they were dispatched, how long they were en route, and when they arrived on scene?
Councilor
Deputy Chief.
Salazar Torres and Council Member Peggy Sue Martinez. Yes, the new Spillman working
Mhm.
with 911 dispatch. This is a great system and everybody's getting used to it now and they're learning how to use it. But it will give us the time that they're dispatched, the time that it takes them from the time they're dispatched to the time they go on scene, and then when they leave that scene. Yes, ma'am, we can get that information, but it's right now I can't get it all from one source. I've got to go to a couple of different sources to get it. I've got to go back to 911 dispatch and to Spillman because some of our connectivity isn't as good as we'd like it to be.
So are you working with anybody at the city to bring you up to par so that you're not having to do that?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We're working with the IT director, Ishmael, and Fran Galvin here is, they're working on that. We're trying to work out the kinks in it. And it may be some, a little bit of user familiarity with the system itself, and they're not
Mhm.
exactly knowing how to use it because we just started it at the start, the first part of this month or first part of January.
So enlighten me on the last row where it says units. What is that?
Is that their
So you
unit
have-
number, sir?
That's their unit number. Yes. That's their
Okay,
call
that's
sign.
the vehicle number. Okay, I get you.
No,
Okay,
that's
I
their-
got you.
That's their call sign from dispatch.
911. Okay.
Right.
All right. Very interesting and very good information. That's very good.
Oh,
And I think it provides the community with accountability, and I really like that. That's awesome. And that's really good. So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Councilwoman Martinez, we're excited about this. We think that the PD is moving in the right direction with some of the things that we're doing, and we're open about this. And this is going to give us, like you said, accountability. Where are they at? What they're doing, and
Chris
it will show the officers we have that are working. And for example, I don't know that anybody's made this statement yet, but last year from March 31st until December 31st, 2020, we've got a 22-man department, and we made 12,387 calls for service. That's not writing tickets. That's not anything else. That's just call for services for 15 officers. And it's pretty impressive when we see what we're doing and how we're doing things.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All righty. I see no other questions or unmuted mics, so we will move on to the next report, and that is from the fire department. Counselors, any questions for fire chief regarding the stats and so forth by the fire department? And I don't see any mics being unmuted, so I'm going to say no. The floor is yours, chief.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Public Safety Committee. Good to be here tonight. First of all, we talk about stats. Busy. We're busy for sure. With COVID and then working with Jeff, and I have to actually reiterate what DC Jack Jones has stated. This guy, Jeff, has stepped into the role, and he's just really shined with it. He's always available. Him and I talk multiple times during the day as well on the weekends to make sure that we're coordinating with what's happening. Everybody in the fire department except for 3 are totally vaccinated, first set, second set. So there's a little information on that. Somebody mentioned Mr. Salazar, Joe Salazar. I have spoken many times with Mr. Salazar, giving him information, talking to him about what we're doing with the city, some of the moves that we're doing with the city. I have a great relationship with Joe. Turned out that I met him many years ago, transferring him to Albuquerque. So it was a good discussion, remembering each other. He's a good man, and he cares very deeply about the valley. Other than that, I'll move to number 2 on. We're on track with the computers within our trucks. DC Jack Jones was talking about Spielman. Everything's going into our trucks now. They'll be linked up with the Spielman that'll go directly to our emergency reporting system. When the lieutenant jumps in the truck, it'll automatically be on his laptop that's in there. There won't be no time loss. Or right now when we do reports, we have to do a paper report, time out, time called, time en route, time we got there, and then the time we left. And then we have to come back later and enter those back into the system. So it's kind of redundant, especially if you have multiple calls for service, as we've had lately. I like to give it up to the staff and the lieutenants for the Espanola Fire Department. They have really stepped up during this COVID, used their training, to keep themselves safe. We have no COVID within the fire department. A lot of the lieutenants are pretty adamant about, you step off that truck and you're going to be in full PPE. So that looks really good with us. The computers, this is going to be amazing. We will know as much as Jack Jones had on his report. We're going to know all that. Plus, we're going to know if calls were missed. So if we have 2 units that are going to be out. They're both on calls, and we have a third call. That's going to show how many calls during the year that we do miss because of lack of manpower, don't have enough units out. At this point, we only have a 2-man engine company and a 2-man rescue company. The city's growing and we're not, and that's what we're planning to do. I had one of my rookies and probies come into my office today, and she tells me, "You got to have a 5-year plan, sir." And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'll have you one in about a week." So Maggie, I'll have you a 5-year plan in about a week. Other than that, we're fully staffed right now. We have one Proby firefighter that's going to go down, and she's already an EMT, so that's awesome. And she's going to go down and get her Fire 1, Fire 2 going next week, and she'll be a full certified firefighter, and she'll be able to start picking up overtime and be able to be out in the field and not have to have that position covered with a certified firefighter. So that's going to be really nice. We have one that left tonight. He will test for hazmat. It's a prerequisite for his firefighter 1 and 2. And right after that, he'll go to his fire 1 and 2. And then he will probably be taking his EMT basic in the fall, and we'll be fully staffed and fully certified. As I have talked in the past and doing the fire inspection fees, that's my goal, is to have that fire inspector, fire arson investigator, and public safety officer to take care of all that between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday, as well as being another firefighter in the field. We have a structure fire. There's 4 on duty. We have a chief, deputy chief, and a fire investigator. That's 7 people on scene makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in our health, our response times, getting people prepared to go in, as well as protecting ourselves and the public to do rescues. And I'm going to go over that in just a minute. That's where we're going to go from here. Anybody have any questions at this point?
Counselors, any questions so far?
I have a question just concerning the burn permits, being that the fire department is closed to the public. And I know that you're probably offering them online through the city's website, but for people that are not online and stuff, do we have an option for any of them to get a burn permit in the community?
Oh, sure. We've had several people come to the station. They are not allowed in the station. We ask them to wait in the car. We have, when they have driven up, we take them out the burn permit. They fill it out. They hold it up. We look at it and we fill out the book. A matter of fact, I've been at the station several times and I've done that. And I've seen other firefighters do it too. So we're out there trying to accommodate the public as much as possible. Okay. What we do have is people are telling us that, oh, I sent in a burn permit and it hasn't been approved. And then when the lieutenant goes in to check to see if it's there, it's not there. So, I mean, we try to accommodate them as much as we can. If they do call in, the lieutenant gets on the phone with them and waits with them on the phone and lets them see, here, my permit's coming in. And sometimes it just doesn't. And we just try to work with them the best way we can on those permits. We want those permits to be out and we want to give people permits. The more they're cleaning up the yard, the less fuel that we're going to have in the spring.
Right, I agree with you. So the person that I got a call from said they got to the door and the door was, there was a note on the door that said that the station was closed. So you might want to put something out there that tells them to knock if they need a burn permit or something.
Yeah, they can.
It's okay.
Remember that we're a working station and we don't have somebody in there 5 during the day that's always there. So I have been telling them too, from Macrina up front, or anybody that calls to the fire department, calls me directly, if they can't find my staff, my on-duty staff, to give me a call and I'll be more than willing to accommodate them.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. I'll relay those messages. Thank you.
No problem. And you're more than welcome to give out my city cell. I don't have a problem answering that phone. And if I got to meet them, I'll meet them somewhere and take them whatever they need.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
So what I really want to talk about is staffing levels. And back in 2017, we did a GIS survey of the city. Within that GIS survey, it gave us placements of where we should have a new station. And within that placement, if you could hold up right there, if we have, with that placement, they said north city limits to cover that portion. Now remember, we're also covering not just the city of Espanola, we're covering all of 291 within Rio Arriba County. If we do have a fire there, we're going to respond and we're going to initiate it, and then we're going to go back in service as quick as we can. But with that being said, that gives us more ground to cover, and we've done very, very well with that. So kudos to the guys out in the field. And I know this because I've worked with them. But first, what I'd like to talk about is our fire suppression operations. And I'm just going to be brief with this. I'm not going to read everything. But what happens with these fires, when we're getting called for service for structure fires, it starts small and it becomes big quickly. And we're looking within 4 minutes, okay? So we need to get anywhere in town within 4 to 6 minutes. And if we can keep that fire small, then we can work with it. And like I said, again, these young men and young ladies, they are very aggressive firefighters. And we try to get in as quick as we can so we can put out the fire. But also remember that when we might be called for not just fire, we might have to rescue. So when these flames are, and these fires are growing with inside a room, they're growing with fire load. And that, what I mean by fire load is they're growing with the contents of that room. And within the contents of that room, it can get very hot pretty quickly. In the time frame of fire growth and temperature of the fire rises to above 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And with our gear, yeah, we can withstand, we can go in and tolerate it, but how long can we tolerate it? So we have what we're wearing, 68 pounds, plus whatever gear, that's just our gear and our pack, plus whatever else we get. Plus, they have a saying out there, what do firefighters have in a pocket? We took some gear out of firefighters' pants the other day and weighed it, and it was 28 pounds, just the stuff that the individual firefighter wants as his personal gear to make him feel safe or her feel safe. Assuming that an immediate discovery of the fire followed by an undelayed call of 911, a dispatch responder flashover is likely to occur within 8 minutes. And what I mean is flashover is that the gases within that room are starting to build up. We get a certain temperature, and everything within that room is going to ignite. So it's the gases that burn in there. It's not the material. It's the gases that are being put off from that material. So at the point of flashover, the odds of survival for unprotected individuals inside the affected area are virtually non-existent. The rapid response of an appropriate number of firefighters and therefore essential to initiate effective fire suppression and rescue operation that seek to minimize fire spread and maximum of the odds of preventing both life safety and property. So the quicker we get there with the more people, we can do more. We can do more. So right now we have 4 people, and that means we got to pull up, get out, water supply, get geared up, and then start making an advance. So we're looking at 4 people to do all this work. So what happens with those 4 people? Those 4 people, their heart rate goes up, their breathing goes up, they're really, really hot. They're losing nutrients and electrolytes. All this is a factor. And if you probably won't understand it unless you're actually in a fire. And if there's any of you counselors, once COVID close up, we do have a training expo in Socorro, and we are allowed to give you guys a little bit of training, and we can take you into a behavioral burn. I'd be more than glad to do that, just so you kind of get the feeling of what's happening in there and how these ladies and gentlemen have to prepare themselves for the job that they're doing. You go to the next page, if you would. And we have the incipient phase. That's just the first stage of a fire. In this stage, it's high heat is applied to whatever and it catches on fire. So it's building at this point, right? So it's going to go into what you call the free burning stage. The second stage of the growth is the free or open burn stage. When the object of the room starts to burn, such as the armchair, it burns in much the same way it would in an open area, but it starts using up its oxygen. It starts keeping all the chemicals and all the bad stuff in that room. If you can go to the next page, please. And that's where you see here where it says a hot gas layer. When this is happening, it's not, everything's not burning. It's not burning like a wood stove and it has all the air and it's burning clean. This is all it's all staying in the room. It's building heat. And then once that thermal layer comes down and it hits a certain temperature, it's because it's just getting hotter and hotter and all that gas is in there. Once that air gets in, it's going to ignite and hit a certain temperature. And that's what flashover is. That's what we're talking about, having more people to have our engine company out. We have 4 people on one engine. That's 4 people getting ready. Now we only have 2. We have 2 on an engine company, 2 on a rescue company, and the 2 guys might get there first, and then 4 minutes later, the other 2 guys. It's supposed to be totally opposite. We're supposed to have 4 people within 4 minutes and another 4 people within 4 minutes, and then 16 total on a residential structure fire if we're following NFPA and OSHA. If you go to the next page, please. Importance of adequate staffing, concentration. If you would roll up. One more. So right here, if we're looking at 4 firefighters on an engine and we have fire ground tasks. So we have 4 firefighters and we get on scene, and what they're saying is within 3 minutes and 27 seconds, we're going to have an attack line out. We're going to have water on the fire within 8 minutes. We're going to have a primary search within 7 seconds after that. And then we're going to start venting that fire. And what I mean by venting that fire is that fire is good. We're going to try to get the heat out of there. While these crews are going in, we need to get the heat out. So if there is somebody inside, we can take that heat away from them and try to get them out and save their life. If we don't have that, or we have to delay our time of response for to hook up water and find a hydrant and whatnot. You know, if we had 4 on an engine and then 4 on another engine, that is just so much more efficient. So if we drop down to 3 firefighters, we're looking at, we're going to advance attack line in 3 minutes and 56 seconds because we have 1 less firefighter and we have more work for 3 firefighters to do. That's 12% less efficient. Just 1 person. So we're not getting water on the fire until 9 minutes and 15 seconds, which is 6% less efficient. And we're going to do our primary search at 9 minutes and 10 seconds. And that's 4% less efficient. And venting time is going to take 7 minutes. That's 32% efficient with 1 person. So if we only have 2 people and we have 2 other people on another call, we're looking at an advanced attack line at 4 minutes and 53 seconds, 29% less efficient. We're not going to get water on that fire for 10 minutes. And that's 15% less efficient. And we're not going to do our primary search for 12 minutes and 16 seconds. That's 28% less efficient. And then we're not going to be venting till for about 7 minutes. That's a lot of work for 2 people. With that being said, there is a sufficient increase in time for all tasks if a company arrives on scene staffed with only 3 firefighters compared to 4. According to NIST report, residential fire ground field experiments, 4-person crews are able to complete more tasks than a 3-person and a 2-person crew. And these guys are moving. Okay, so what I'm suggesting is, what I'm looking at in my 5-year plan, Maggie, is that we need to increase our staffing by 3 people every year for the next 5 years. And it's a necessity. Our city's growing, our buildings of more commercial buildings, we're having more residential. And that's why I've been talking about through many years of me being with the Espanola Fire Department, is that we are growing and there's an impact on what we're doing and we're not feeding that. And I understand we're in COVID, but I understand that money's tight. But when we're starting to build, regardless if it's a big corporation or a residential home, we need to have an impact. And that impact impacts not just fire, it impacts police, it impacts emergency services, it impacts our water and our sewer. So these impact, personally me, since I started here in '98, I have always said that we need to have impact fees. 10 years ago, Santa Fe County put in impact fees, and they had an increase in their revenues for public safety, $9.2 million. And that's Santa Fe County. I get it. But we need to have something that we are starting to grow. We're not growing. We're growing within the city, but our department isn't growing. So you're looking at an average of $265,000 a year to hire 3 more firefighters. And I know where we're going to go. We're going to say, let's look for grants. Well, we look at safer grants. Safer grants are good for 4 years. We need to plan. We need to plan to start adding firefighters to our service area. We cover a lot of area with 4 people. Also, too, that it's eventually going to happen that the city of Espanola is going to need to take care of their citizens with a full-blown EMS service. It might not be right away. We might just be able to provide basic life support, but there again, we're going to have 2 people on a rescue company, and they have to transport somebody, and that takes 2 more people out of service. We do it right now. When Espanola Ambulance is not available, we take care of that right now, and we don't bill for it. That's a free ride for somebody, and that's okay. That's okay. Our EMS division survives off of $11,000 a year. $11,000. And guess what? They make it happen. I'm so proud of these guys. It's unbelievable. You know, they make my job easy because they do the work. All these grants that we apply for, we're surviving. But you know what? You need to put a house in the city of Espanola, there needs to be an impact fee. You put a new business in the city of Espanola, there's an impact fee. You know, if we as a fire department are looking at capital outlay money and trying to find it and lobbying for it, a new water system and adding bigger pipe, that's a big impact on our fire suppression. First of all, it helps the water department. And second of all, it gives us water to do our job. And that's our problem with not dropping our ISO rating right now. Our biggest issue with ISO and the points that we don't have are because of water supply and manpower. Unless we fix those 2 things, we're going to stay at an ISO 5. If not, we're going to go back up. We're going to start going to 6, back to 7, back to 8. And guess what? With that being said, people's insurance costs are going to go up. Commercial insurance costs are going to go up. And we need to start planning to build more staffing for this fire department and provide don't get me wrong. I want to let the citizens of the city of Espanola know that the fire department they have here is second to none. Second to none. These guys do not skip a beat with what they have right now. And they have so much pride in what they're doing. And I can't, this has been the greatest thing in my life to be where I'm at right now and working with these guys. I applaud them every day. And it's like, I don't want to go home. I like being around them, but we as a team and a group with the city of Espanola and a team with the city of Espanola, we need to find a way, and we need to find a way to start upping our manning levels with the fire department. It's important, it's imperative, and it's a necessity, because on my watch, I don't ever want to not send somebody home. And with having 4 people on a company for the day, we need to start looking at upping our staffing levels, not only in the field, but our management staff also, so we can start taking care of the business that we need to take care of. I thank you guys for letting me say what I have to say. I appreciate it. I know it was a lot. We're trying to get it all in there, but that's how I truly feel. Again, the guys in the field, I'm so proud of them for the things and the things they pull off with what they have. It's amazing. It's all them in the field. I'm just pushing the paper. Thank you, guys. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Counselors, any questions? I do not see any mics being unmuted. Counselor Ritchie?
Just to address the impact fees, I know that's something that should be looked at in the planning and zoning department and starting discussion. We looked at it about 6 years ago and it didn't go any further. I just bringing that discussion up for Director Hubler, if he can make a comment on that.
I have a little bit of history on that if you're done, Counselor.
Counselor Peggy Sue?
So, at one time, the council was very adamant about these impact fees, and we really wanted to see it happen, especially before we had the big box development that there was such a boom on the other side. And what happened was that when the company came in to write the master plan for us, their final opinion was that it would be detrimental to have impact fees, and they said that it wasn't the way to go. So that was really the point where the attitude towards those fees sort of fizzled out, and it just never happened. It's possible that we might be able to look at it again, or see if we can come up with something that's a hybrid of in the middle somewhere. But as far as going full force, I don't know if we can make that happen. I really feel a little confused about things in that, we have a fire department that feels they're understaffed and they need three people a year for the next 5 years at 260 per. So in the first 3 years, I mean, you're looking at some significant funding. Here we are talking about it, and we didn't even have the money for the 7,500 for the speed deal. So I'm really concerned about this. I mean, I feel exactly what he's saying, and I understand where he's coming from, but I really feel like we need to really analyze what we're doing and what the future holds for our community, and public safety being at the helm of that picture. So it's something that we really need to look at as far as what direction we're headed in, and how we handle the situation. The other thing is, we just approved that $750,000 there for that department, when the lot itself is really going to run out of space. And, if you're hiring 3 firemen per year, you're looking at 15 firemen in 5 years. You need to concern yourself with where are you going to put these guys, and how are we going to handle housing the firemen. So these are all things that definitely we need to think about, and we need to be a little bit more proactive where these things are concerned. Thank you.
Alrighty, Chief.
Yes, and excuse me, Mr. Chair, Madam Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez, and the rest of the committee. I'm just trying to let you know what we need. I know this is going to be a big task, and I'm up for it. I'm up for a challenge to house these people. And this is our first step to get these 2 new remodels. Yeah, they're going to be able to put 2 more rooms at La Jolla, and hopefully we can go out and lobby for capital outlay money, hopefully next year, and really make a big big impact on trying to get money for a new station. Now, our biggest problem is trying to secure property on the north side of town. So that's our first step, is trying to find that money to do so. Also, with that is we need to work collaborative with the other people within our city, and we're talking Owinga, Santa Clara, Rio Arriba County, to try to make these things happen. And that's all about is discussing what's best for the community. and what.
But I think you're missing one entity, Santa Fe County. I mean, you mentioned how much money they're bringing in by their impact fees.
I apologize.
We're servicing their situation, and we're not seeing them at the table in this situation either. So I think there's another entity that we need to bring in the helm of how we handle fire here in part of their county.
And you're absolutely right, Counselor. You're absolutely right. We do run a lot of calls within Santa Fe County. I do have some research going on with that, and hopefully for the next Public Safety Committee committee meeting, specifically talking about stats, I will let you know how many calls that we run in Rio Arriba County and Santa Fe County, so you guys have an idea. I really do appreciate you, all of you listening to me. I'm just very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about my department, and as well as being a family member and a team player with all the city employees that I work with, because we need to work with each other to make things happen. And it's a pleasure of mine. And thank you guys for trusting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Counselor Ritchie, I see your mic unmuted. Any questions?
No, not at this time.
All righty. We will, thank you, Chief Padilla. We do appreciate you. We will move on to municipal court. And I am not sure if we have the Honorable Judge Steven Salazar or whom. Oh, there it is.
Hello?
Howdy.
Hello, can you hear me? Counselor Justin Salazar Torres?
Yes, we can hear
Hello.
you.
This is, hi, that's Anna Squires. I'm sitting in proxy for Judge Steven Salazar tonight. Good evening, counselors, members of the Public Safety Committee meeting. Before you, you have the violations by violation type, which is the usual report that we present at the Public Safety Committee meeting. You have 2020 snapshots of 19 and 18. And I stand open to any questions that you might have.
Absolutely. Thank you. Counselors, any questions for municipal court? Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez, I see your mic unmuted.
I just wanted to welcome Anna Squires. It's always good to have you in the house, Anna.
Thank you, Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez. It's a pleasure to hear everybody. Happy New Year, belated New Year. I don't know if you can do that in February. And you know, we're all, I guess, in the same kind of emotional boat, trying to, you know, keep everything together, stay safe, keep staff safe, and support other departments, as Ron, our chief, left off saying.
Absolutely. You know, thank you for providing the stats for us. I really don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you to you guys for how you handled things. I know that it's very different in having a lot of phone stuff and not being able to handle a job the way that you guys are normally used to handling it. And I know the community service guys and the graffiti guys have been very busy all over town, and we certainly thank you guys for that. So just appreciating everything that you guys do in your department and the judge, okay?
All righty, Counselor Ritchie, any
Thank you,
questions?
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez, Honorable.
I was just going to ask how the overall operation has been going with the new procedures in place. Have you have a backlog, or are you staying current?
We are staying current. As far as we're utilizing the city clerk's department's you know, allowed the court access to the municipal court website portion of the city website. So we've been able to access a link now. So we're posting dockets and we're posting information on our city website with, you know, allowing for this public platform for defendants of the court to appear virtually, so that, you know, in light of COVID-19, We're trying to keep the court safe by doing this. So we're talking now with planning and land use and our city manager about implementing some kind of a document program. So it's a signature process, right? In the court process, there's a lot of acknowledgements per signature, and we're in that space that we need to kind of expedite this process. But things happen in due time, and we're not jumpy at getting things expedited as far as technology. But because of this need for safety, it's allowed us obviously to allow people not to have to commute to the court, and it allows for a platform so there's not a failure to appear that results in a warrant. So it's just, I guess, the way we're looking at things. You know what I mean? With every adversity we try to, or challenge, right? We turn it into a way to reach out to other departments to ask for help and try to use current technology available to make it accessible to the public. So, we're working, Counselor. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Counselor Manny Martinez, any?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Ms. Squires, I just have a question. Now with, of course, the new mandates, is that going to affect at all the continuous work of the graffiti services that they've been doing to help clean up those areas, and also the utilizing of public, what do you call it? I forget. I'm sorry.
Community service workers?
There you go. That's the word. Thank you.
Yay, I
Thank
knew
you.
it.
Yay!
It's just that I am getting reports of some areas. One area that I brought up earlier was near the Las Lomas apartments, where the bus station or the bus stop is in that area, going up towards 76.
Yep.
Apparently there's been a lot of trash from transits and stuff, and I didn't know if we're able to give any areas a recommendation to the court of where some of the community services people can go, or is that already designated as to where they serve?
Counselor, I think at the beginning of the meeting, when I was listening to our chair, Justin Salazar Torres, this new platform allows a space for the counselor to address it at the public safety meeting, and it can be, I think, the Honorable Judge Salazar is at these meetings, but I'll bring it to his attention. And I don't think, it's out of our scope to have public a community service members in lieu of fines, right? The only thing is that there's kind of a lack of that going on right now because of COVID-19. To circle around to your question, there is a questionnaire process that was provided to us by the state judiciary to ask, and it's a 10-point questionnaire in order to keep courts safe. So we pre-screen these defendants of the court, judges, cognizant and aware of giving community service in lieu of fines because of COVID, right? He either extends their commitment time or whatnot. But in short, we are at a lack of community service workers, but I can assure you that they are screened. Those that you do see in various areas and districts have been screened through this process, go through temperature checks, and part of the questionnaire is contact, right? Or previous testing if they've had COVID-19. So we're trying to keep it safe, but also, the numbers are not there right now, I think, in light of the pandemic, unfortunately. But initiatives and discussion is definitely welcome because it opens up an avenue to another way of doing things, right? So any suggestions are definitely welcomed, Councillor Manuel Martinez. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Counselors, any other questions?
I have one more question. Thank you, Chairman.
Counselor Peggy Sue?
Thank you. So my concern deals with, hold on. Sorry, hold on a minute.
No problem.
I'm so sorry. So I'm looking at the pictures, Ms. Squires, and some of them look like it might be the new building that they've just fixed off of Railroad Avenue. Are those that same building? With the flat roof and the brick
Let me see.
siding?
Let me
I
let
think
Victoria
it's images
catch up to
35,
that. Let me see.
46 and 47 and 45. I know that they've been working hard, that Dee Dee's
Yes.
Carnesecca is moving to that area. Wow, that's really disappointing because, you know,
Yes,
they've
yes.
done so much work there. So I really appreciate you guys staying on top of that because we want to encourage the economic side of this, and we don't want
Absolutely.
an entity like that to get discouraged. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you guys doing that. That's really important. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez, Honorable Member of the Public Safety Committee. I'll relay back to Gary Maestas, our graffiti officer, and of course, Judge Salazar.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All righty, councilors, anything else for municipal court? Ms. Squires, I do have a question that was presented to the committee to ask municipal court for a future report to include cases that were heard by municipal court.
That can be done. Yes, we provide currently data to PD that Fran is Francisco Galvan, by the way, cross communication and aid with our current court reporting software sleuth. He's really an aid to helping us extract data from that. I will, with the permission of Chief Jimenez and Deputy Chief Jack Jones, reach out to Fran on his available time, so that maybe that I don't see that would be an unreachable possibility. And then converting that Excel spreadsheet data into pie charts and graphs, I understand that segment of it. So I think we could. I think with aid and help from PD as our neighboring, our partner there at the Judicial Complex building, we can try to aid that. I'll make a note of it and I'll relay it back to Judge Salazar. Most definitely. Thank you, Chair Salazar Torres.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ms. Squires, and thank you for joining us this evening. Councilors, is there anything else for municipal court? All righty. Well, we do appreciate you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, councilors. Appreciate your time.
All righty, we will move on to last but not least, planning and land use report. We have with us Code Enforcement Officer Justina Trujillo.
Good evening, everybody. So what we're looking at right now, if you want to stay on that this slide that you're on right now. So what I've broken the citations down into, this is for halfway through the month of actually, this is not, I'm so sorry, this isn't my recent one, but I can go ahead and go off of this one. So the data that you're seeing right now is from when I came onto the job up until the 21st of December. So in that time frame, oh, there we are. Okay. All right, cool.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay, here we go. So these citation updates are for the month of December, starting from the 1st to the 31st. What I have broken it up into here is first notice, second notice, and final notice and extensions. So in total, we usually get a lot more first notices just based on being out in the field and seeing what's kind of around and what needs to be looked at. Second notices didn't go very far, which most of the time is good because then we get a lot of closings, which we'll show on the next slide. These are our statuses. We had 51 currently open, and then we had some closed. Our sent to court ones are what Anna mentioned. We're kind of trying to get a system, and we had a meeting today kind of about that. So we're hoping to see a little bit of a difference in status change. If you could go down to the next one. Here's another citation update. This is for the month of January. So as you can see, the numbers went up significantly just based on my learning the job. So we went from a total of 76 to a total of 117. First notices, we have 78, second 7, final 13, and extensions 19. The reason that our final notices mostly went up is just based on my knowledge of getting to learn those. Extensions, I definitely don't have a problem giving. Those are usually better than anything else, mostly because I get a lot of feedback after sending out first notices. And to be able to give extensions is much more efficient. And here we have the statuses. Okay, so for our current happenings, I'm not sure if there was an awareness, but we've been switching into a different system to log all of this information. So 115 old cases have been accessed and closed. What this means is that all of the cases that came from previous officers that landed in my lap, I've gone out and actually checked on those and been able to assess whether they were able to be closed or if they needed to be proceeded. And so the transition cases have been given area information. What this means is that before we were lacking a lot of data as it came through the two different systems. A lot of data was lost actually, and a lot of it was put in kind of funky, but that happens when you start with a new system. So a lot of that has been fixed. Again, with the transition cases, I've done a lot of follow-ups, and as it was mentioned, I believe in the beginning, perhaps by, I think, Counselor Peggy Sue. So we've actually gotten on a schedule to be out on a 2-week period for the whole month. So the first 2-week period takes care of follow-ups. So those are my initial, like every day, one day I have one neighborhood, the next day there's another, and throughout that 2-week span, I go out and I go check on those cases and see if I can close them or if they need to be furthered. And in the second 2-week span, which takes up the other half of the month, those are where I actually go out and do a full screening of a certain neighborhood, which means, I go down every single street, I look at every single property, which is very time consuming, but it's gotten to be very efficient because a lot of things from previous times were missed, which I'm finally getting a hold of. And at the bottom is just that process that Anna was talking about, and it's getting situated, and we're actually taking big steps to see if we can get a lot more people to come into compliance. And I think that is the last slide. Does anybody have any questions?
All righty, counselors, let me see if I see any microphones that unmute. Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you. And also thank you for the presentation, Justine. So my question is concerning the extensions. What type of extensions are you offering when somebody calls you and says, I can't do this or whatever because of age, health, COVID, whatever? What type of extension does that work on? How does that work?
So the extension that I'm allowed to give at the moment is a 30-day extension. So it gives them a month to take a look at getting their violations under control, which people usually will ask for, maybe like a week or two, but I actually get very excited when I'm like, hey, well, I can actually give you 30 days and then we can revisit it after the fact. And most of the time the extensions don't go past. I haven't had to reevaluate or give any kind of second extensions because within that time period, the grace period, people have that time to say, if it's age related, they can get, one of their grandsons or one of their family members to come out and help them. And with these extensions also, we have a few different contacts that I can also get in touch with that say, hey, we have an elderly man that can't take his trash to the dump, would you be able to help him? So that extension also gives me time to see if I can figure out something for them.
That's awesome that you're actually working and being proactive with trying to get people into compliance, because it's not only about citing people or whatever. That's an important part of it, but the most important part is having them want to be in compliance, and most people do. So just knowing that you're proactive and seeking help for people when they don't have a truck or they're elderly or whatever. I think now during COVID, I think we need to be a little bit understanding also because of the virus and the fear that people have without being vaccinated to be out and stuff in the outdoors. And I just think it's important to understand that part too. So, welcome to the city of Espanola. We look forward to working with you, and you have a big job, and we support you. And I hope that you feel supported more and more as the years continue and you stay with the city. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All righty, councilors. Councilor Ritchie?
Thank you, Chair. Justine, you've been with us how long now?
I've been on for about, I'm going to say a month and a half. Let's
That's
see.
what I thought.
Yes.
Your efforts are very strong, and we appreciate the enthusiasm, and we hope you can continue that. As you see, this is a very, very important department. You've got a lot of support in your supervisors, and we will always support you in your efforts in trying to maintain the appearance of our community. And we really appreciate the effort that you're making now, being compassionate, but also being firm in what needs to be in compliance. So again, welcome aboard, and we are here for you.
Thank you very much, Counselor.
All righty, Councilor Manny Martinez?
Thank you, Chair. Just to echo my fellow councilors, you're doing a heck of a job for just being on it for a month and a half. You're doing an excellent job. And as Councilor Ritchie said, this is a very important area. And again, kudos that you're not just following up and on these cases, and but that you're also giving some sort of help to these people that may not be able to take care of the issues that they have at hand, and that you're actually being proactive and helping them. And that is really nice to do that, because it is one thing to just to go cite them. It's another thing to actually be proactive and see what we can do to help these people. Like Councilor Martinez said, I think the majority of people want their yards nice, want to do the right thing. Sometimes they just either don't have the ability, the funds, or the able to do it, but they're more than willing to get it done. And so I thank you for doing what you can to help these people as well, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilor Manny Martinez. Councilors, anything else for planning and land use?
No.
All righty. Thank you, Justina. We do appreciate you. Have a good evening. All righty, councilors. The next item on our agenda is our next meeting, tentatively scheduled for the 3rd of March. Is there any questions, concern regarding the 3rd of March? All right. It looks like we'll shoot for the 3rd of March. Can I get a motion?
I'm fine with that.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Councilor Ritchie.
Motion to adjourn, second, sir.
All righty. I don't think we need a roll call vote. I think we're good to go. So councilors, everybody have a good night. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Chair.
You have a great
Everyone.